our purpose is God's purpose, don't you think our hearts are going to be prepared for obedience? I made a really step out of the box statement this year. I said it to my pastor, and I said it to my boss at work. You know, normally we make resolutions and we don't keep them, or we just forget, we don't even make them anymore because we don't keep them. So this year I heard something on the radio that really hit home with me. The person on the radio said that instead of making resolutions, they now choose a word that they focus on all year long. And they ask God to help them as they focus on this word and to guide them and to direct them. So I chose the word challenge for this year. And I told Steve, I want God to challenge me. That's very scary for me. That is so out of my comfort zone. But I want to be challenged. I don't want to be comfortable doing what I'm doing. I want God to challenge me. I want to follow. I want to be led. I want to go where God asked me to go. And that's very scary for me. You know, obedience isn't that easy to do. Obedience can be scary and terrifying at times. But if we're willing to focus on God, if we're willing to make sure that our will is conformed to His will and not ours, then God can lead us. And God can provide us the tools and the resources. And God can calm our fears. He can give us the peace we talked about in Sunday school this morning. If we're willing to be obedient. You know, sometimes when we're willing, we just don't know what to do. We're like, I'm so ready. I'm waiting and I'm ready. I don't know what to do. You know what? Sometimes what we're supposed to do is nothing. How hard is that? To sit and do nothing. But sometimes that's exactly what God wants us to do. Our obedience requires us to do nothing. That's how we obey, by doing nothing. And that's very difficult to do. But again, God will give us the strength that we need to do that. You know, Jesus told them to go fill the water jars. What if we don't want to fill the water jars? What if He tells us something we don't want to do? What will happen? You know, the company I work for, we have a set of blueprints that we call operating principles. And these are the things that we use to run the day-to-day business, and we use them throughout our workday. It talks about safety, about customer focus, about making good decisions, about things like that that help the business run smoothly. And the slogan is, I'm in, are you? So today, for obedience, are we all in? Because that's the kind of obedience that God requires. All in obedience. I'm in, are you? God wants us to be all in when we obey Him. You know, if He says go fill a water jar, go fill the water jar. If He tells you to take the water out and go give it to the master of the ceremony, go give it to the master of the ceremony. You know what? Because if God tells you to do something, it's His purpose. It's His will. So you don't have to worry about what happens afterwards. Because it's His plan, not yours, not mine. Our obedience also needs to be prompt. Again, we didn't see the servants hesitating. We didn't see the servants going, "Ugh, I don't know about this. What do you think?" You know, how many times do we collaborate with people that we want to hear the same thing from? You know, we're thinking in our mind, "Oh, I'm sure I'm not supposed to do that. Let me go find somebody who will tell me that that's not what I need to be doing." No, that's not the way that works. We don't hesitate when we obey. God wants our prompt obedience. You know, they picked up those jars, they went and filled them. You know what? They didn't just fill them. They filled them to the brim. In other words, nothing else could go in them. It probably sloshed all over the place when they went to draw water out because it was so full. They filled it to the brim because they expected something. Do you expect something when you obey God? Do you expect to be blessed? Do you expect to have God's blessing in your life when you obey God? Of course we do. But you know what? They knew, because this man had told them to do something, they knew that they needed to do it because their hearts had already been prepared. So they gave Jesus prompt obedience. Remember what happened to the Israelites? God says, "Here, look at this land out here. I have given this land. I have given this land to you. You are going to possess this land. Look at all of it. You're all going to fit there, and it's going to be yours. All you have to do is go get it." Oh man, there's giants out there. Are you kidding? I don't want to go over there. No, no, no. Wait a minute now. But there's milk and honey in this promised land. It's just flowing with milk. The fields are fertile. You guys are just, this is a great land that I have given. Notice the word given you. How many times does God say, I have given you this, all you have to do is take it? What happened to the Israelites? They wandered around for 40 years. I wandered around for a very, very long time because I refused to obey God. In my life, God could have done great things early on in my life. He could have used me, and I didn't let him. All he said was, give me your life, and I'll take care of it and do something for you. And I said no. I said no, and so I wandered around in the wilderness. We don't want to wander around the wilderness. We want God to be able to take us and use us for his will, for his purpose, for his glory. Again, the servants, when they obeyed, Jesus asked them to do the second thing and they continued to obey. That's part of our obedience. It's a continual obedience. Obedience is not just a one-time action that we perform. Oh, I obeyed God. I'm done. No. It's a continual obedience. It's a lifestyle of obedience. It's the way we live. As believers, our obedience doesn't stop once we've obeyed God. Our obedience is a continual or perpetual obedience. When will it stop? When we're taken home to heaven. That's when our obedience stops. As long as we are on this earth, we are here for God's will, for God's purpose. It's just, are we going to be obedient and allow him to use us? The servant's obedience this morning was rewarded. Remember, they got to see this miracle. They got to be a part of this miracle. I wonder sometimes, where were they later on in their lives? What effect did that miracle have on their lives from that day forward? Think about the times that we're obedient to God. What effect does that have on us? How does that make us feel, or what does that help us to do? Doesn't that make us want to obey God more, want to be closer to him, want to have a better relationship with him? The blind man, Jesus said, go wash your eyes. What if he said, I ain't doing that? No. Jesus said, go wash your eyes, and he did. What happened? He was rewarded by being able to see. Zacchaeus, Jesus said, come down from the tree. What if Zacchaeus said, I'm comfortable up here, I can see everything, I'm fine. Well, what would have happened? He would have gotten saved in his whole house, and his whole life wouldn't have been changed. That's what happens. The lame man, Jesus said, pick up your mat and walk. What if he had said, you know what, this mat is the most comfortable thing I own, I am not moving. Isn't that what we do? I am so comfortable here, I don't want to move. But he picked up his mat and he went, and what happened? His legs worked. He got to walk. How cool is that? Peter, remember he's fishing? Jesus said, put him on the other side of the boat. Peter's like, Lord, I am an experienced fisherman. Trust me, I have fished all night long. I know what I'm doing. Don't we do that? God, I know you're God. I know you're God. I understand that. But this part of my life, I know better. I know better. But what happened when Peter put him on the other side of the boat? He had to call another boat and help him. The fish were so great. He caught so many. All night long, no fish. Have we ever gone all night long with no fish? Have we ever allowed ourselves to go all night long with no fish because we refuse to be obedient? God will bless us. God will bless us, and he will bless others through our lives if we are obedient. Did you know that obedience is an act of worship? When we allow God to work in our lives, when we surrender our will to him, when we give over what we want to do to what he wants us to do, that's an act of worship. That's one of the greatest acts of worship we can do. Because we are saying, God, you take me, you use me. It's not my life, it is yours. Today, can we fill that water jar to the brim? Or are we just going to fill it halfway? Are we just going to fill it maybe 3/4 of the way? Or do we not want to spill any over? Or are we going to fill that to the brim? Because that's what Jesus told us to do. Are we going to wait expectantly to see what it is that God is going to do in us and through us, simply through our act of obedience? Amen.
Amen.